So I'm going to talk about some products we currently have running in JP Morgan today. This is not going to be a deep technical talk, okay? Don't expect that. So we also do research driven by business, and here I have the list of the projects that we have driven by the business. I don't have time to talk about them. You can read the titles. Actually, Mariana will talk about privacy-preserved federated learning. She will give you the state of the art. So what I'm going to focus is the products that we have with quantitative research. And by the way, some of the other projects, they have a very long-term horizon to go in production, and some other ones that will go in production actually next year. So if you see encrypted LLM, like, don't expect it. This is very fast, so I want to clarify. So we have two products here, Primats and AtlasX. So I'm not going to talk about Primats, but I will give you an update on the usage of Primats. And I'll talk about AtlasX and also a follow-up we have, which is about indifferentially private dark pools. Mutu spoke a little bit about dark pools before. And here are the papers I'm going to actually talk about. And I want to make a quick flashback, like 10 years ago. So when we were here, I was a third-year PhD student, I think. And there's a lot of jokes about round complexity. But back then, I was really trying to reduce the round complexity of MBC problems, like with Sanjam, like 6 rounds, 5, 4, 3, 2. So we stopped when Sanjam found a way to collapse everything in 2 rounds. So I couldn't imagine that I would be doing any of this. But I still care about the round complexity. So I'm going to start with this picture that I usually show to the business people to explain to them the importance of privacy. So if you don't see something, you cannot actually track it, exploit it, ruin it. And I have this analogy with the ants and the canties, especially in California, and especially in Santa Barbara, if you know what I mean. But very recently, I discovered that there's also a double meaning to this picture, which is the following. So if you make everything siloed, okay, maybe it will left behind and people might not use it as you expect, okay? And I'll bring back this figure again and you will see what I mean with a specific example, okay? So let me give a quick introduction to Primats, just 1 minute, because it connects to the AtlasX product. So I'm sure that many of you have seen this before, but there we have a client. Oops. Let me, yeah. So we have a client, and we want to match orders, okay? So they have their own inventory. This doesn't have a, no, it doesn't have a, okay, I can use this. So the client has an inventory, and they want to match it against the inventory of the bank, okay? And the goal is that you don't want to reveal the two inventories, and you only want to reveal the matches. For example, you can think of short for a moment as selling a stock and long for buying a stock. So you want to match short and long positions. And here, for instance, let's say the client asks 100 shares of Apple, and the bank has 800 shares of Apple, so we can match the 100. And after the matching, we are supposed to reveal only the 100. And for instance, we will never know that the bank had 800, okay? So that was the goal, and you use secure multi-party computation for that, okay? So how it is related now to the other product we have? So we have to see how this list of the bank is being generated, okay? So what is this inventory that the bank has here? And to explain you that, I have to introduce some financial terms, okay? So yeah, for the next 3 minutes, it's going to be a finance class. So in a bullish market, what happens, the prices rise, okay? And we have high trading volume and all of that. And when the market is going down, the prices are falling, okay? So if the prices are going up, what strategy you can do, okay? So you can do what is called a long exposure. So what you can do, you can borrow some cash. Okay, I'm assuming you don't have any cash. Not particularly you, but then you borrow some cash, you buy it, and you buy the stock that you want, and you hold it because you believe that the price will rise, okay? Although, also, when the market is going down, you can still make money if you do the short exposure strategy. So there, you will borrow the asset, okay? You will sell it, and then you will buy it again. Okay, this sounds a little bit weird. I'll give you an example. Let's say you buy a stock once the price is 200, okay? And you believe that the price will go down, so you sell it immediately, okay, at 200. And then the price goes down. Let's say it goes to 150. So you buy it back, okay? So you made $50 now, okay? So this is how this strategy works. So you are betting that the price will go down, okay? And if you go to an institution, let's say one client wants to go long and the other client wants to go short. So what you can do, if you go to the same institution, then they can actually, if somebody got long exposure, you have the stock, okay? And if somebody wants to go short, then you don't need to borrow because you already have it. So you can actually equalize the two, you can match them, okay? So you don't need to pay fees to go and borrow the asset and all of that. So you want to do what is called internalization to match this long and short so that you don't have any risk, okay? And pay all of these fees, okay? The financial course will finish soon. So this is the internalization. As I was saying, I have an example here. So let's say we have 3 stocks. So one client goes long 300, another one short 100. So we can match actually the 100, and we have still a difference of 200. Okay. Here we can actually match it completely because one wanted 300 to buy and the other one to sell. So here we matched it completely, full internalization. And then we have another example where both of the clients were going long, nobody was going short, so we still have left with that amount. And here is like, what is the net difference, okay? So going back to prime match, what is the list of the bank is these numbers here, okay? Because this is what you didn't internalize, and you want actually to make the clients trade in the side that you want to minimize your risk, okay? So this is what the prime match encrypts. And again, as I said earlier, if you want to actually get rid of what you have left, you can go to another bank, pay some fees, and get it. But the other option is to go to the clients, show them this list, and tell them that to actually trade based on that list so that you can match more, okay? So this is the list of the prime match, okay, that we're encrypting. However, we also received, so before prime match, the list was public, okay? And this list was going to 60 to 80 clients every day, okay? So there was a leakage, but the clients think it's a leakage, okay? So if a client holds like more than 50% of that stock, let me go back to this example. For example, here, let's say we have 2 clients, and this client has more shares than this one. So out of the 300, one client holds more than 50% of that, okay? So they came to JP Morgan and they were complaining that their trading activity is being revealed because we were showing this 300, it's anonymized, it's the sum, right? But they were saying if you saw this next day to the other clients, they will think that it was us that we did this, okay? And there were actually 5 clients that they came and they were complaining about that, okay? And I can have an example, like for different stocks, you can see that, just to give you the idea what is a concentrated client, it's clients that hold more than 50% of the sum that we publish in this list, okay, for different stocks. Okay, so if you think what is the problem statement for this, so you have a time series data, so you publish every day how many positions you have per stock. So think for one stock from now on. Let's say this is one stock. So you have this, which one? Oh, so the green one is the real one. So every day this is how much we publish per stock, okay? And let's say the concentrated client is this one. So you see that the concentrated client is actually, his plot is closely moving with the real information that we are publishing, right? So we want to kind of obfuscate this information. But this is the only information that we want to hide, okay? In this particular scenario now. We want to hide the concentrated clients. And for example, if you use differential privacy, I have this analogy here that, for example, you don't want to hide everything about this picture, but maybe you want to hide like the nationality of these people in the picture, okay? You don't want to hide how many people are in the picture, okay? So we tried to use differential privacy for that, okay? I mean, I'm sure that many of you know differential privacy, so I'm not gonna like talk too much about it. But essentially, what we want is that we have these two lists that we publish, and if in one of the two lists the client is concentrated and we remove him from the sum, okay, then actually we can tell that we remove this client, okay? So with differential privacy, we want to hide this information. So whether we have the client in the sum or whether we don't have him, we don't want to distinguish that, right? Okay, and of course you add noise if you use differential privacy. And one challenge here, like technical challenge, was that this is published every day, as I showed earlier, right? So if you keep adding noise, like in the standard way that you have a data set and you publish it and you add differential private noise, if you keep adding it in the naive way, you will keep adding a lot of noise because this is published every day. So at the end, you will lose all the information from this data set, okay? So this is a problem. It's called in the literature differential privacy under continual observation, okay? So let me drink. So what we did in this Atlas X, so this is running in production the last 2 years, and it actually generates billions of dollars every day in inventory. And it also runs in 3 regions, in Asia, Europe, and United States. And again, there's here like some novelty in the differential privacy algorithm. I'm not going to talk about that. You can look at the paper. And what is also interesting about this work in terms, like forget about the theoretical stuff, but it's also interesting like how we decided with the business, what is the utility, if you add differential privacy and all of that, okay?
What epsilon do you use? And,
Sorry, what?
What epsilon do you use?
I'll show you some experiments. It's 0.3.
That's without composition or after composition?
After, yeah. I have some examples, you'll see. Let me see how much time I have. Okay. So I'm going to glance very quickly over some of the challenges, and then I'll talk about this indifferentially private dark pools. So again, so we had to discuss with the business what is the utility, which was actually, there's this, so there's this P&L. I mean, you don't need to know its privacy and losses. You don't need to know what is this exact equation, but it's based on the borrowing rates and the lending rates and all of that. So they wanted to add noise such that this P&L is not very large, okay, such that they don't lose a lot of money. Okay, and we also had the leakage probability, which is what is the probability to actually find out if the concentrate client today is buying or selling, okay, the direction of his trading activity. Okay, another good thing was that we had a lot of data for this. I mean, to do differential privacy, usually you need a lot of data. So that was a good thing. Some other challenges for the sensitivity. Of course, you don't have to base the sensitivity on the data, so we also had to find some way to deal with the sensitivity. And then I'll show you this figure. So the other challenge was that, so let me tell you what this figure has. So so the blue one is the true sums that we publish every day. This is the time, and this is the number of positions, okay, the sum. The orange one, the green one is the client's position without the differential privacy. And the orange one is the one that we add differential privacy. So when we saw this first to them, they were like, oh, can you remove the spikes, please? Okay. But we had to explain that we cannot do that. Then it won't be differentially private anymore. So again, we had to calculate the utility when this situation happens and how much money the bank will lose if the situation happens. So we had to deal with all of that. Again, I don't have too much time to say a lot of things. And then another interesting thing that I want to say here was with the regulators. So, you know, in banks, you have to actually report how much you hold, like in fixed times and all of that. And we were publishing this and we were reporting different things to them. And they were like, oh, what is happening? Are you lying to us? So we also had to deal with the regulators. So that was also a little bit of challenging. And I'm going to flash now some experiments so that you can see some of them. But so how we calculated the epsilon that we decided to use in production? So we did this Monte Carlo simulation. We took all the data from like 1 year back. And basically what we did, so we started with the historical data, as I said. And then we added the noise, okay? And then we made an assumption on how much clients will consume from what we publish, okay? So this is obfuscated. We made an assumption how much is going to be consumed, and then we went back again, and then the next day. So that's how we did it. And we showed them a lot of experiments for different parameters until they decide what's the epsilon. So here I have like similar plots for like different stocks. And you can see that essentially we are like hiding the direction of whether the client is buying or selling, okay?
Is there any composition here of epsilon, or is there a single epsilon for each of those jars?
So we are using, there is composition. We're using prefix sum, as the underlying mechanism. So yes, there is. This is another one. So this is 0.3. This is the one we use in production. Anyway, there are more. You can also look at the paper. And the last interesting plot that I want to show about this is that, so this is the privacy budget, and this is how much money we are losing every day if we use different epsilons, like this P&L. So for 0.3, we are losing like almost $1 per asset per day, okay? So they were happy with that, with this loss. So that's what, and you can see like the loss is becoming more if you add more noise, of course, right? And here is like how much we are gaining because we're doing obfuscation, including the client. So if we wouldn't include the client and we didn't do the obfuscation, then we will lose $4 per day. The explanation is because we wouldn't be able to internalize more, so you will lose more. Okay? So that's what I want to say about Atlas X. And going back to this picture now. So this inventory was published every day before prime match came, okay? So we did prime match, and they wanted to stop publishing this list every day, okay? So that was the idea. So what was happening, they had them running in parallel. And we noticed that clients, they were, of course, first going to the Atlas X to see what is public, consume there first, and then they were going to prime match, okay? And the other thing was that the other banks are publishing also some lists, okay? So we noticed that they were going to all the public information they could find, and then they were coming to prime match, okay? So that's what I'm saying here. Like, prime match doesn't have any leakage, okay? And because it doesn't have any leakage, people use it less than we expected. I mean, it's still in use, but the other application that actually reveals more information, they go there first, and then they come to the more secure version, okay? So this is the current state of these two products. So yeah, they're not shutting down the list, because if we shut it down, again, the other banks will get even more flow, okay? I mean, we will see in the future we are sure that clients also want to complain to the other banks. So we will see if Atlas X will actually stop or not. So, and given this observation of this dual explanation that if you make something very siloed, they might not want to come there first. So what if, for some other applications, if you allow some leakage, okay, you can make them faster, okay? So the next point of the next thing follow-up we have is that if you combine actually differential privacy and secure computation, you can make things much more faster, okay? And the exact use case for this is the dark pools. Okay, so in the dark pools, the functionality is similar to the prime match, but there's no like inventory the way that I told you it's being created. So here we have independent clients. They're coming to the dark pool. Okay. And they submit very large orders. That's why they go to the dark pool, because it's private. It's not a public exchange that they can go and drop their order, because they can move the prices and all of that. So they come to this private dark pool. They give the orders, and you have to match them. Okay? But the difference is that there's a price. Okay? So in what I showed you earlier, there was no price. We just show you the inventory. You just have to take it. Okay? So there's a price here. So you also have to match first the price and then the quantity. So the functionality here is more involved because of the price. okay? And you want to match the most popular buy price with the most popular sell price, so you need to actually do extra computations. And we had a lot of works on that using secure computation, and it was very slow. So this is high frequency trading. So they want the result, once clients submit the orders, they want an answer immediately back. Like they want to satisfy almost like 1,000 orders per second, okay? And we were doing like, with FHE, we were doing one order per second, okay? So they were like, nope. So we're introducing this new notion called indifferential privacy, which is actually a new notion that can also have for independent interest for other applications. So where you still maintain differential privacy, but if some special event happens, then you don't care about your privacy, okay? And with this new indifferential privacy notion, we can give a dark pool solution, which actually matches the performance of a non-private auction, okay? So I'm not going to say exactly how it works, but think that, so what we are revealing in this, what is the leakage? So the leakage is that you are revealing for what stock you are sending an order, okay? And whether, yes, actually that's what we are revealing. Sorry, and the price. So we're revealing the price and what stock you want to actually trade, but we are hiding how much, okay? And you can look up at the algorithm, but we add some fake orders in the system, and we have a way to do this matching, and we even do like optimal matching, meaning that you want to actually get out from here the maximum number of matches that you can have. So let me tell you about this indifferential privacy, because it's the interesting part of this work. So in the classical notion of differential privacy, you have like, actually let me start in another way. So in this indifferential privacy, what we want to do, so in the dark pool, I'm making it very specific for the dark pool application, if an order is fully matched, okay, we are okay to reveal that quantity, okay? Remember I told you we insert some fake orders in the system. So if you are fully matched, it's okay to reveal how many fake orders you had in the system, okay? But if you are not fully matched, we still want to have the classical differential privacy guarantee that we're not revealing anything, okay? And in the classical definition of differential privacy, if you have two neighboring configurations such that the user's volume differs by 1, okay, then we have to prove that the distributions are indistinguishable, or you have to say that the hockey stick's divergence is actually no more than delta, okay? And this is very technical. I'm not gonna like give the details, but I'll give you the intuition of this new notion. So in the new notion, what we are saying is that we are going actually to form a matching relation phi, okay? When these two scenarios that we are, in the first scenario, a user's volume or bit is actually fully executed, okay? And in the other scenario, we have that one order is actually unmatched, okay? So these are the two scenarios. So we form this matching phi for these two scenarios, and we transform actually the spaces. And then under these transformed spaces, then we are saying that the hockey stick's divergence is almost delta, okay? Again, it's like more technical, but I'm trying to abstract the details, and we use bipartite graphs for this matching, but yeah, that's the high-level intuition. And then another last interesting thing I want to say about this is that with classical differential privacy definition, you cannot achieve optimal matching. Because the moment that you want to do the optimal matching, you will reveal if that client's order is fully matched, and that's against differential privacy. So with this relaxed notion, we can even achieve optimal matching, okay? And as I said earlier, from like 1 order per second, we can do 850. So the only secure primitive that we use is a commitment now. I guess from fully homomorphic encryption, we went only to a commitment. And so for some applications, they're okay to reveal the stocks, like what stock you are trading. As I told you, that's the leakage. They don't care about the price, but there are situations that they do care about the not revealing the stock. But for the ones that they don't care, actually, they're also thinking to use this application. Okay? I'm done. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, so the message is use differential privacy and secure computation. Don't try to think for your use case if you really need to hide everything. That's my lesson from here.
Let's take it.
Thank you.